Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Happy birthday, dear Fish Report. Happy birthday to us. Welcome, everyone, to another Fish Report Live. It is Wednesday night, October 31st. That's Ken Francis. I'm Craig Fissinger. TK and Heavy D back in our sound room again tonight. Ken, call it our birthday, call it our anniversary, call it what you will. But 1 year ago this week, Fish Report Live just started.
Yes, it did. You know, the big 1 year anniversary. It's been a great year for us. And look where we've gone in that 1 year. It's been unbelievable. Everything that we've done and all the people we've met and everybody that our sound room, our expansion into the studio, and the hiring of Heavy D and TK. It's just been phenomenal.
You want to blow that candle out?
Yeah, I think we better. I'd hate to see that thing fall over and start having a problem.
Yeah, I'll tell our viewers, in case I've never told you this story, just how it got started here real quick. About a year ago, I wanted to cover the state cross-country meet. I sent the Ohio High School a link to the Fish Report website. I said, can I get credentials for inside the fence there? And they said, nah, that's not going to work, Craig. So I thought, well, the heck with it. Ken and I will start our own show, do our own state cross-country preview, and that's kind of how it got started, didn't it?
Yes, it did, and we had a lot of fun back then. We've had quite a few shows by now. How many?
35, I believe.
35 shows, and it's been a good success and a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's kind of a bonus or a happy ending to this story. Just this week, I got an email from the Ohio High School. I sent them a link to the Fish Report Live website. They said, tell you what, Craig, this year we're going to give you credentials. So not only am I going to be covering the state cross-country meet on Saturday, I'm going to be inside the fence, and I'm going to bring it to everyone next Wednesday on our show next week.
I can't hardly wait.
All right. Well, speaking of cross-country, we've got a big interview coming up here in just a few minutes, don't we?
Yes, we do. We got the three senior runners for the Russia Raiders. Lauren Francis, Becca Meyer, and Brandon Barloggy. So it'll be good to hear from them and see what their week's been like and all the fun that they're having.
Yeah, looking forward to talking to them in a little bit. And then after our break tonight, we're going to be talking some playoff football. We got a guy that knows twice as much as you and I do about football. Dave Ross from Sydney, he's going to join our show, and I have a feeling he's going to have a lot to talk about.
Dave Ross is going to be a lot of fun to have on our show. Can't wait to get him on the line.
All right, well, before we get to all that, just like we do every week, let's get that trivia question. What do you got for me tonight, Ken?
Well, Craig, we're going to talk high school football here. What local high school football team once won 54 consecutive football games?
54, wow.
54 consecutive football games. Was it A, Sydney in the late 60s? Now, keep in mind, we got Dave Ross on the show after a while.
I'm aware of that.
Okay. Was it Versailles in the mid-90s, or was it Coldwater in the early 2000s?
Oh, wow. Three good programs there.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, I'll give it some thought. If I can't come up with an answer, maybe I'll ask Dave a little later. So, all right, Ken. Well, let's start out our coverage talking some cross country. Got the state meet, like we said, coming up this Saturday. For the viewers out there that didn't realize there was a state meet coming up, why don't you tell them where that's at and what time it's happening?
Well, the state meet will be Saturday in Hebron, Ohio, held at National Trail Raceway. The racing begins at 1 o'clock. They're doing boys first this year. The Division III boys, which will include Russia, Minster, and a few other local teams. They'll be battling it out at 11 o'clock in the morning, followed by the Division II boys and then the Division I boys. And then the girls, Division III girls, they'll start at 1:30 and followed by Division II and Division I. So a lot of local talent running in a lot of the Division III races, and it's going to be an exciting day in National Trail Raceway.
Yeah, it sure is. And one of the guys we're going to be watching in the Division III boys race is Sam Prakel, expecting a lot of good things out of him. We know Sam pretty well. We talked to him on Fish Report Live not too long ago, but there's actually another Sam that we're going to be watching as well, isn't there?
There is another Sam, and that's Sam Wharton from Tip City. Sam Wharton actually happens to be one of the fastest runners in Division I and probably the favorite to win the race Saturday. So it was kind of neat. We had an opportunity to catch up with Sam Saturday after his race in Troy, and here's what Sam had to say. Tell me a little bit about the course conditions out there today.
I thought it was going to be much more than it was. I was really pleased with how the levee was. The bottom there was pretty dry, surprising. I don't know, it was a lot better. It actually changed my strategy. I was going to go out a little slower. I did go out a little slower, but I made my move earlier than I was expecting to.
Tell me a little bit about your expectations next week.
I mean, there's going to be some crazy competition. I'm excited. Our coaches prepared me well, our team, so I'm excited. Should be a good experience no matter what.
Well, you got a lot of excitement going on behind you right now.
No, definitely.
And sounds like they're announcing the team results. So one quick question for you. What's your future plans? Off to college somewhere?
Yeah, I'm hoping to run at Demon University. Got 4 picked out. Go to college. Hopefully have a good career there.
Well, great. Good. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, Ken, and you said we didn't hear the team results there, but you told me earlier that Tippecanoe actually made it, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Tip City actually grabbed the 4th spot, which was real exciting for them because they had no idea they were going to get that. And, some great competition over there at Troy. It was a lot of fun, The weather wasn't the best, but, the sun came out later on the day, and it wasn't just too bad.
Okay. Well, 2 of the teams that we're most interested in, the home teams, the Russia Raider boys and girls teams, we're most excited about watching them. Ken, I got to looking at the Division III boys and girls races, 16 teams in each division there, boys and girls. I noticed that 6 of the teams, or 6 of the schools, actually have both a boys and a girls team competing, which is kind of remarkable. Only 2 of those teams, though, actually has the same head coach for both the boys and girls. One of those is Sugar Creek Garraway, and then one of those is Russia, and our own Doug Foster is actually coaching the boys and girls. I want to ask you this. I think I asked you this earlier this season, but to coach both boys and girls sounds like a lot of work. Is it twice the work, or do they practice together, or how's that?
No, they practice together, and I think it goes really well. I think Doug's got the program really situated the way he wants it. It's really good for some of the faster girls. They get a chance to run with some of the boys, and it really helps both teams out. And Doug does a great job with the program. He's been successful running it the way he has for 7 years now. He's got some great assistant coaches that help him out. And congratulations to Doug. 7th year, 7 trips to the state for the boys, and multiple trips for the girls. So congratulations and good luck Saturday.
Okay, and I know I was looking at some of the teams competing in that girls and boys race, and I want to ask you, the favorite that what I read this morning was the Coldwater girls. Are they just going to run away with it, in your opinion, or will they have some competition in that girls' race?
Coldwater's going to be tough to beat, but no, I don't think they're going to run away with it. There's a lot of good teams there. I think there's 5 or 6 schools that could win it, and a lot's going to come into play with the conditions of the course. If it's a muddy course, I think that evens the playing field up a lot with all the kids, and anything could happen, and has. So it'll be exciting to watch. But yeah, Coldwater might be the favorite. They got some great front runners, but there's going to be some teams that are going to challenge them.
Okay, well, we were just talking about Coach Foster, Ken, and 3 of Coach Foster's runners competing on Saturday are seniors, the only 3 seniors he has. Seniors Becca Meyer, Lauren Francis from the girls' teams, and senior Brandon Barloggy from the boys' teams. They actually have 8 combined state meet appearances after this Saturday, which is pretty remarkable. We've actually got them on the phone right now on a conference call. We'd like to welcome them to the show. Becca, Lauren, and Brandon are live with us right now. And Becca, I want to start with you. Just mentioned you're a senior. This is your 2nd trip to state. You also went with the team back in 2010, a Russia team that finished 5th overall. Becca, give me an idea what it's like for your team this week in the days leading up to the state. I mean, are you guys putting any miles in this week? Are you resting? What exactly are you doing?
Well, usually our week consists of recovery days on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday and Wednesday, we do a lighter 6 miles, and Friday is a light 30-minute jog. Tuesdays and Thursdays are harder days where we do speed workouts consisting of 200s, 400s, 800s, or mile repeats. This week we are doing about 50% of each of these workouts. We're still putting in the miles, but we're trying to keep our legs fresh for Saturday.
So you backed it off just a little this week then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Lauren, let's go to you. I know this is your 3rd consecutive trip at state. Last year you ran as an individual. You made the podium, finishing 15th overall. You were also on that 2010 team with Becca. I imagine it never gets old, but how is this year going to be different for you than maybe what it was last year or the year before?
This year is going to be a little different than the other years. It's my senior year, so I definitely just need to give it all that I got and not leave anything out on the course. I don't want to walk away having any regrets this year. This is also the first year that we're, as a team, being considered for a state title. So we all hope to go out there and just be able to race and do the best that we can together.
Let me ask you one other thing, Lauren. Does your race strategy change at all? I mean, for example, last year did maybe you go out too hard or not hard enough, and you say, hey, this year I'm going to change that, or do you pretty much follow the same thing you've been doing all season?
I just always try to stay with the lead pack for as long as I can. I usually tend to fall off around like the 2-mile mark, so I'm hoping that on Saturday I'll be able to stay strong and stay with the lead runners for longer.
Craig, let's go to Brandon. Brandon, this is Ken, and this is the 7th consecutive year for the boys making a trip to the state cross country meet. Did you feel a little pressure before the season as one of the key senior returning runners to keep that tradition going? And also at the beginning of your season, what were your thoughts? Did you feel you had a chance to make it back to the state meet?
Well, there definitely was a little bit of pressure because captain this year and never had that responsibility before. And this year I really wanted to be the number one runner in the team and had to set a good example for the guys to work hard and get the job done and get a good practice in.
I've got another question actually for all three of you. And Brandon and Becca and Lauren, this weekend you're going to be actually spending the night in Columbus preparing yourself for the meet. All the other meets this year, you know, you just come, you get up sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning, get on a bus and ride it to Tiffin or to wherever you might be going. This weekend's going to be a little different. Becca, let's start with you. How do you feel this plays into the weekend, and do you feel this as being something different, or is this good bonding time for the team?
Well, I think that sleeping in my own bed on Friday night, it will put me a little out of routine. But I don't think it will be anything that will be detrimental to the race. I think we'll have the adrenaline and the atmosphere of state to carry us through and make us do our best.
Lauren, how about you?
Well, it definitely puts me out of routine, and this always makes Coach Foster a little worried for all of us. But as far as staying overnight, it gets us all pumped up. We always just hang out together and have a lot of fun. I think it's just part of the state atmosphere. If you get sleep the night before or not, you always just wake up ready to run, and you know what you need to accomplish that day.
Well, I think that's a good point. I've run in some races myself, as has Craig here, and they usually say the most important night's sleep before a big race is 2 nights before the race, because the night before the race nobody sleeps anyways. So keeping that in mind, Thursday night, be sure you 3 get good night's rest. Brandon, how do you feel about it?
I feel it's going to be good because we get to sleep in Saturday morning, not wake up as early, get a long bus ride to state meet, but I think it'll be good, get some team bonding going on, and get pumped up for Saturday morning.
I agree with that. That's a lot better than getting up at 4:30 in the morning and driving over to Hebron. So,
all right, well, I got one more question for you all, and then we'll let you go. But after this year is over, everyone, what are you all doing next fall? I mean, I'll ask you, Becca, first. Is this going to be the last cross-country meet you ever run?
Yes, this will be my last ever cross-country meet, as I do not plan to compete in cross-country in college. I knew that cross-country in college wasn't really an option for me because I'll be undergoing bunion surgery on both my feet in the near future, which will put me out of running for about half a year. However, I do love running and plan to run on my own or with friends whenever I can. And I do plan to attend Rhodes State College in Lima, majoring in occupational therapy assisting.
All right, and Lauren, how about you? Any plans to run next fall?
Yeah, as far as college goes, I'm still pretty much up in the air. I am hoping to continue to run cross country at a D1 school somewhere and go into nursing. After the season's over, I'll get more in depth with coaches and try to figure things out. But right now, I just need to focus on the state meet this Saturday and worry about that after this weekend's over.
All right, Brandon, is this the last time you ever wear a cross-country uniform?
Well, I hope not. I'd like to run cross-country in college, but I haven't made any plans for that yet. I plan on continuing my education with the HVAC. Well, I've been taking that Upper Valley Career Center these last 2 years.
All right. Well, that's great stuff, everyone. Listen, we'll let you go, and we want to just wish every one of you guys good luck. Actually, to both teams on Saturday. Congratulations to all of you on outstanding careers at Russia, and I want to say thanks for taking the time to join us for a little bit tonight.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, that was Russia seniors Becca Meyer, Lauren Francis, and Brandon Barloggy, Ken. And I want to ask you, when do you think it sinks in for them that this is the last meet that they're wearing a Raider uniform?
Well, I think the personalities will be different there, and I think you're going to get two different answers there. I think some of these kids, all these seniors that are participating at the cross-country meet this weekend, some of them have already realized it. Some of them aren't actually going to realize it till the end of the race. And I think that's when it's going to hit most of them is right now, they're just kids. They're after one goal, and that's to run as absolutely hard as what they can run. They're going to let it all out on the line and see what happens. And after that race is over and emotions settle down, they'll realize that was their last high school race.
All right. Well, that was good stuff. Good interview there, and that'll do it for our cross country talk tonight. Let's take a little break, Ken. Take a commercial break. When we come back, we got that big interview with Dave Ross. So hang right in there. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Raised by a single mother in the heart of the Midwest. She grew up, didn't have to struggle, cause her mom worked hard for everything they had. She never knew her father, only knew that he was gone. She would wake to her mother crying and an empty Bible laying on the floor. Yeah. Teen with open fails, she was gonna leave this town, but she fell in love, had a son. Now she's paying rent on an old farmhouse, got a job in a factory downtown, pushing out on wheels. Now it's punch cards and blue bandanas and pink streams for you and me. All the mornings they are dancing on this side of town. She likes to smoke, takes a talk. It's just another day of the fairy tale. Oh, it's just black coffee.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to the second half of Fish Report Live. Ken, that first half we were talking some cross country. We're going to change gears now and talk a little high school football. I've got the playoffs coming up starting this Friday. What we're most interested in is Region 24. 4 good games coming up this Friday night. Why don't you go through the list of games?
Quick rundown of Region 24 football games, Division 6. We've got Waynesfield Goshen, the only team in the playoffs with a losing record, 4-6 versus Ada at 9-1. We've got Tri-County North, the 7th seed. They've got the tough task of going to Minster, the number 2 seed. Wildcats are playing excellent football right now and going to be very tough to beat. Bradford Railroaders, the team led by Coach Curtis Enos, who's made a great turnaround this year, and 8-2, the 6th seed. They've got a tough task, so they go up to Marion Local and play the Flyers. And all Marion Local does is win championships. So, Coach Enos, you got your work cut out for you, but good luck to you. And also, the last game features the 4-5 seeds, which typically is your best game. The Fort Loramie Redskins, who teetered there between the 4 and 5, and they were as high as a 2 seed at one time, I know, but they dropped all the way to a 5, unfortunately. So they've got to travel to St. Henry, take on the tough Redskins, who are sitting at 7-3. So going to be some great football games Friday night, and we're looking forward to them.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of good games coming up, Ken, but what do we really know about football? So on the phone right now, we have maybe the smartest guy we know when it comes to the history of area football. He was a member of Sydney's famed 30-0 football team back in 1969-1970. He's the PA announcer for Dayton Flyer football. He's also wrote a book on Sydney high school football, and he writes a regular column during football season in the Sydney Daily News. We'd like to welcome to our program right now Mr. Dave Ross. Dave, thanks for joining us tonight on Fish Report Live.
Well, it's good to be here. I'm glad to talk football with you, believe me.
All right. Well, listen, Ken and I were just running down the list of games in Region 24 coming up this Friday night, and we figure you probably know twice as much as us when it comes to area high school football. So we want to ask you, are there any particular games in that Region 24 that are of interest to you, that intrigue you?
I think you're looking at 3 blowouts and the game involving the middle seed. I think you've probably got to lean toward the team from the Midwest Athletic Conference as St. Henry hosts Fort Laramie. A parallel that I like to draw is in Major League Baseball, the teams who have made the postseason as wild cards have generally done fairly well because they've had to keep playing. They've been in competitive situations right down until the end of the season. And while St. Henry knew they were going to be in the playoffs, much as the teams ahead of them, Marion Local, Minster, and then from outside of the MAC, Ada, they knew they were going to be in, but they wanted that first-round home game. So Marion, Minster, and St. Henry last week all needed to win to ensure that top 4 spot. And, they're ready to go. You not only get tested in that league, but they were facing good opponents with winning records in week number 10, and I think that gives them momentum into the postseason. So I think there's a really good chance that the top 4 seeds will advance. There's a lot of years when the maybe pretty close to the right 8 teams qualify for postseason, but maybe they're not quite in the right order. I think this year you could pretty well say that of the top 8, the ones that are playing at home are probably the teams that would be favored on Friday night. Do I think Fort Laramie has a shot at St. Henry? Yes, I certainly do, but I think it's a pretty good challenge for them to head over there.
All right, well, those are very good points, Dave. And I want to ask you about that Fort Laramie-St. Henry game. Certainly those are 2 schools that have a very rich tradition in sports, but I believe this is the first time they've ever met on the gridiron. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. They just haven't had that opportunity. Midwest Athletic Conference in some years has only had week number 1 available for non-conference play, and it's only been in recent years that they've expanded that by taking a league bye week to each school playing an additional game out of the conference in week 2. So these 2 have played basketball now for a long time. They had somewhere around 40 years off playing each other before they hooked up back in the late 1970s during the Jim Lachey era. And while it's been regular since then in boys basketball, this definitely is the first time in football.
Dave, this is Ken, and I see an interesting team on this schedule in the Railroaders from Bradford. Coach Enos has done a fantastic job with this program. He took over a team that went 1-9 3 consecutive years, and over the last 3 years, he's went 4-5, 5-5, and now 8-2. Tell me a little bit about their challenges ahead of them. Obviously, they got a very tough challenge going to Marion Local, but kudos to Bradford. I'm really happy to see them back in the playoffs.
I'm always happy when somebody like Bradford, or a few years ago Miami East, which is in it again, and goody, they get to go to Coldwater in Region 20. But the point I want to make there is, regardless how they get there, regardless what conference they come from, it is neat to see those communities have a chance to rally around their boys getting to play in the postseason. Now, in the cross-county conference, when you talk about teams like Bradford, Tri-County North, and also Miami East, Covington, which, certainly has had a very nice football tradition down there. By the time they come out of the cross-county conference, you have played one non-conference game and 9 games within the league. What that'll do for you is there's a lot of guaranteed computer points on the second level. You get credit not only for the teams you beat, but then the teams that you beat, the games that they win, that's where second-level points come from. And as long as the teams that you are beating have to play each other, that's where the second-level thing is at a guaranteed level. And over the years, the cross-county conference has put a lot of teams into postseason on exactly that formula. I think Bradford and Tri-County North are going to have a really rough time as they take on those 2 and 3 seeds, Minster and also Marion Local, but doggone it, they got there, and it's a nice thing for their communities, particularly in the case of Bradford, as you mentioned, because of where that program's been. You talked about a book that I did on Sydney football history.
Yeah.
As I was going back through the 1920s, I discovered that at that time, regardless of the size of the school, the dominant football program in this part of the state was Bradford.
Yeah,
there was one year that they not only had a perfect season, no one scored on them.
Really?
And that included Sydney, Greenville, and also some larger schools down in the Dayton area.
Wow.
So history is a neat thing when you apply it to some of these schools, even in this case in the smaller school division.
I see an interesting a team in here, Waynesfield Goshen. They come in at 4-6. The only team in the playoffs with a losing record. Yet, as I look at Region 18, Wayne Trace was 9-1, and they did not make the playoffs. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh, yeah, that kind of thing can happen. And when that was brought to my attention this afternoon, I was not aware of it. But as soon as I was told about it, even before I got on the website where I'd have a chance to study that whole thing, I kind of said to myself, there isn't any doubt if they went 9-1 and didn't get in, and you keep in mind that they're in a conference. Like I was saying earlier about that, Fort Laramie situation, and when they weren't in a conference, some of the teams that they were beating didn't have to play each other. Well, and that's not the case with Wayne Trace, but I figured when I looked at Wayne Trace, I would see that there were a bunch of good records in Region 18. Indeed, there were. And also that Wayne Trace would have played a couple of teams that likely went 0-10, and they did. One of those was from outside the conference. They opened the season with Paulding. That's nice to play somebody who's up a division. Normally that might be worth a few more points, but if they don't win any games, it doesn't matter. And Paulding went 0-10, and then the league that Wayne Trace is in did not do particularly well outside of the conference. So that's where all that comes from. But it's interesting to take a look at the standings in Region 18. I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like this. Teams number 1 and 2, Lima Central Catholic and also Northwood, were both 10-0. Then come a pair of 9-1s, and then teams 5 through 8, or 5 through 10, actually, are all 8-2.
Oh, wow.
And then Wayne Trace, it's not like they finished 9th.
Yeah.
They finished 11th.
Wow.
With a record of 9-1, but the worst record above them is 8-2. Now, how narrow a margin was this? Well, without going through all the numbers, let me just say Wayne Trace won 9 games this year, and if any one of the teams that they beat would have won one more game, regardless of the size of the school, that would have gotten Wayne Trace into the playoffs. Wow. This kind of thing happens sometimes. It's unfortunate, but, a team like that needs to look themselves in the mirror and say, do we need to be playing Paulding every year on a non-league basis? And I don't know if that's a contract that they have into the future, if it's somebody they consider a traditional rival or whatever. But when they beat Paulding opening night and Paulding lays a goose egg for the rest of the season, that's a problem, and this kind of thing indeed can happen.
Interesting stuff there. Well, hey, listen, Dave, the last thing I want to touch on, Minster's hosting a home game this Friday, and giving fans another chance to see the beautiful field they have and the beautiful renovations they made there this past year. But I've heard some talk about Sydney and some possible renovations coming to their field. I want to know if you can share any information that you have on the improvements Sydney is planning on making.
Well, the improvement Sydney will make is necessary but singular. The formal action on this will take place at the Board of Education meeting on Monday night. But the Sydney Vespa Quarterback Club, the primary men's booster club for Sydney football, and I say that because there's also a football mothers club, and then there's another organization, the 200 Club, which does things for the entire athletic department. But the Vespa Quarterback Club has a plan together, and the school board has already been briefed on it individually, and they'll be making a formal presentation at the board meeting on Monday night to install artificial turf. That's really, in my opinion, and I've been involved with the stadium from the get-go, in my opinion, that's the only thing that is missing in an otherwise outstanding playing facility. And the thing that I think makes it the most outstanding is that it does not have a track surrounding it. So it is built for football. The proximity of the buildings, the stands, the press box, and everything is much closer to the field because it is built for football. So that's what Sydney's working on, and I have every reason to believe that it's going to be successful. In that event, we would be looking at playoff games in Sydney 53 weeks from right now. And also, they're looking at having the graduation ceremony, which is always in the stadium, as the first event on the artificial turf, and that would be late in the month of May. So, yeah, big things coming in Sydney. Drainage has been a problem, so it's not been the greatest home field, the playing surface, that is, for Sydney and laymen who play there. That can be fixed, and also the fact that playoff games haven't been there since 2010. The state will not put neutral site playoff games onto a field that does not have artificial turf. The weather you're seeing this week is the major reason why.
Sure.
And with artificial turf, Sydney can cure both of those ills, have a great home field for their two schools, and also get back in the business of hosting playoff games, showcasing the school district, showcasing the community. And like I say, that's going to begin that part of it 53 weeks from now.
All right. Well, that's great stuff, Dave, and we'll look forward to reading more about that probably in the weeks to come here. Listen, we're going to let you go, but it was a lot of fun talking to you here tonight. Any chance that you're available during the basketball season for a phone call, maybe occasionally?
Oh, that can happen. I don't get around to as many places, as many different gyms, see as many different teams as I did when I was full-time in the broadcasting business. Maybe there's something we could hook up on, and who knows, we might even be able to entertain a phone call from Goodyear, Arizona come springtime.
There we go.
That sounds like a
That'll
good
be
plan.
fun. Well, listen, Dave,
We'll see what happens. Maybe we can do something like that, but the football thing definitely worked out well for this evening. I've got the VCR going right now, and Criminal Minds is in good shape.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks a bunch for joining us on the show, and good luck to you and everything over there in Sydney.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, that was Dave Ross, Ken, and boy, that guy, he's a lot of fun to talk to, isn't he?
He is. He can talk, and he's a lot of fun, and he does a great job. He knows his sports. I always enjoy talking to Dave, and whether you're talking baseball, basketball, or football, he knows his stuff.
Yeah, he sure does. All right, well, that's going to do it for our football talk. Let's go back to our sound room, though, and get with TK and Heavy D. Haven't heard from them tonight. But, guys, I understand there was a couple volleyball games of a little importance tonight. What do you know about those games?
Yeah, there sure were. The D4 tournament trail started back on October 13th. The Vandalia region had about 40 teams in it. We've got that whittled down to 2. And today there was 2 big matchups. No big surprises in who was in those games. First game was Marion Local over Jackson Center in 3. First 2 games are fairly easy, and then JC made it close in the third game. And then in the nightcap tonight, Fort Laramie Took it to Lehman pretty good. Doesn't look like they had a whole lot of problem with them. So what we've got coming at us now for the Vandalia region is we've got the number one team in the MAC against the number one team in the SCL. So it's going to be a good one. We got we got Marion against Fort Laramie. And that showdown takes place this Saturday, 2 o'clock at Vandalia Butler High School. Ought to be a good one.
And then Division III, actually, those teams play tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yeah, this TK. Division III, couple games tomorrow night. We're looking at our number one team, Miami East, taking on Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy. Miami East is doing very well. Probably a little bit of a weaker bracket, but they've gone 300 points to 99 against their opponents in their 4 games. So I think they're going to continue to roll. They seem to be not losing any steam from last year's championship and heading right through Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy. On the other side, we've got an SCL team. Anna takes on Middletown Fenwick, Bishop Fenwick. Always a tough team. Coming into the tournament, Bishop Fenwick was 12-12, but 14 of their 24 games were against D1 and D2 schools. So they always put themselves through a tough test coming into the tournament, and they were 225 to their opponent's 64 in their 3 matches in the tournament. It's going to be a big game for Anna to win this one, and I would say it's probably a little bit bigger upset than when Anna beat Versailles. But those games are Thursday. And then after the winners come out of that, they will be playing Saturday at 2 o'clock at Kettering Fairmont. So that wraps it up for the volleyball.
All right, good stuff, guys. Ken, well, we talked cross country, we talked football, we talked volleyball. That's about all you can fit in 30 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we might have even went over a little bit tonight, but appreciate all of our listeners hanging on for us out there.
I guess it's our birthday weekend. We're entitled to go a little bit over.
That's right.
All right, well, let's get back to that trivia question you asked me at the beginning of the night. Repeat it again and give me my choices again.
What local high school football team once won 54 consecutive games? Was it A, Sydney, back in the late 90s? I'm sorry, Dave Ross years, back in the late 60s.
Okay.
B, Versailles, back in the mid-90s. Or C, Coldwater in the early 2000s.
Okay. 3 great programs there in their time, and Coldwater still plays well, and I remember those heydays for Versailles. But I'm going to guess you gave me an easy one tonight. Since we had Dave Ross on, I'm going to go with Sydney.
That's a good guess, but you're wrong. Yeah, Sydney actually won 30 games in a row. They were 30-0 at one time. Versailles actually won 54 consecutive games during the Al Hetrick era from 1993 to 1996. Al Hetrick actually retired with a career winning of 334 wins, which actually puts him 3rd all-time in the state of Ohio. So Versailles Tigers actually won 54 consecutive games.
I think I can hear all the Versailles people right now yelling at their computer screens. Yeah. You dummy, it was us. So, all right, well, listen, that's going to do it for us tonight, Ken. I want to say special thanks to our guests tonight, Sam Morton, Becca Meyer, Lauren Francis, Brandon Barlog, and Dave Ross, all for joining us. Also want to thank the viewers, as always, for tuning in tonight. Ken and I and the crew will be back again next week with a state cross-country recap and a few more things. Until then, everyone, have a great rest of the week, and good night.
From Studio F in Russia, Ohio, for Ken Francis, Craig Kissinger, and TK, this is Heavy D, signing off, saying good night and good fishing.